Hello everyone! I decided to start doing reviews of the maps I play. Hopefully it will help you decide whether a map is good fit for you or not. If you find it interesting, please leave your comments below. I appreciate it. Without further ado, welcome to the review of the Might and Magic map. Might and Magic map represents a compressed entirety of the Heroes 3 universe, also known as Antagarage. It has a very rich storytelling. Each faction has its own tailored story, narration laying out the context for the map, your goals and expectations. It has extremely well thought out design with a large number of beautiful and unique zones. There has been an enormous effort put into this map, putting a beautiful giant map together and making it unique in many ways. The map comes across like it's designed first and foremost for the multiplayer. Some maps that do that fall short though when it comes to the single player, because AI is very rarely capable of providing a challenge when put in equal or close to equal conditions. Many authors fix this problem by boosting AI players in various ways, and this map is not an exception. However, what stands out about it in particular is that author implemented a very simple yet powerful way to enhance the PvP multiplayer. It goes like this. First, you choose your factions before the game. Second, add a violet one-way portal next to first town of each selected faction in the editor. Third, at agreed intervals, for example every month or every 2 months, save the game. Daily autosaves work great for that. Prepare your champion hero for the PvP combat, enter the portal next day and fight each other, then load back to the save. Loser pays agreed money to the winner and they continue as if nothing happened. This is one of the best design choices for the multiplayer I've ever seen. It solves a problem that plagues many custom PvP maps, the long build-up for a single decisive fight. It's like spending hours cooking a great dinner just to eat it for 15 minutes. It may still be worth the time spent, but author comes up with a cheat that enables you to keep eating the same dinner over and over again. At the start you get to pick one of 7 available factions, with 3 factions locked out on the map. And if you want to play one of the 3 locked out, well, good news for you, you can do that. The author provides 3 map versions, each customized to have different factions locked out. It means that across all 3 versions you can play any faction you want. The pink player represents the ultimate enemy, the gods of might and magic, led by Pandora, and your victory condition is to defeat her either in direct combat or by taking all pink towns and letting her expire. She's a very strong hero, without weaknesses, and the only way to beat her in combat is to bring a much stronger army. You won't be able to beat her with cheap tricks that we all love. Plot-wise, Pandora is gathering strength to get free and do something bad with the world, and so the time limit is introduced to add the sense of urgency. We all know how bad AI players can be when it comes to taking over the map, so I'm afraid that this time limit is a necessity born out of the reality. Otherwise we would be facing a very anticlimactic ending when, even though plot-wise Pandora should be ravaging us all over the map, she opts to sit still in the town or to collect resources from water mills over and over again while we calmly collect army for 20 months straight. Seeing something like this, I would imagine, breaks a map maker's heart, and we saw plenty of maps end like this. Totally understandable here that author opted to introduce a time limit, but don't worry, it's not as tight as you might think. Each faction starts with 3 heroes. You get to choose one when you start, the same as usual. Each hero available for you to choose has unique perks, such as unique mid-game quests, starting bonus items or skills and such. That said, the 3 starting heroes are the only ones you'll have the freedom to develop as you wish, with minor limitations. All other heroes that will join you later on will have their skills predefined. You might think, Why fix the skills? I want to play the hero X my way. I get it. I felt the same at first, but this decision serves multiplayer balance. You see, the strongest heroes are few. Basically, if I were to draft the strongest late game hero, I would always go with an armorer specialist and tailor perfect skills for my taste or needs on a specific map. Now, this map can be played by up to 7 players, and not everyone gets to have an armorer. And trust me, there is no one even close in strength to armorer specialists in the endgame. Not everyone will be able to play the best hero. Besides, author stated his intent to discourage maining any hero, and to encourage using multiple heroes at the same time. In that context, if you have full freedom of development, some heroes are just plain bad, or at least clearly worse than others. The fixed skills balance them out in a more fair way towards multiplayer. In general, I would say that most heroes have decent or better skills, so if you don't feel attached to some specialty, you should be able to find a hero with perfect skills for your preference. Unless, of course, your preference is to have bad skills. Think of it as a usefulness budget per hero. When designing, each hero spends points on good specialties and special skills like Scholar or Diplomacy, and the rest fills out their other skill slots. The better their specialty and special utilities are, the worse their other skills end up to compensate for it. I think it's a very clever solution that ends up working very well. That's not all about heroes though. As you know, there are 2 hero classes for each faction, one representing warrior, that is might, and another representing spellcaster, that is magic. As per map design, warrior heroes never have, nor can they, learn wisdom skill, making them unable to learn high-level spells. As a compensation, and remember, most heroes have their skills fixed, they're more likely to have a skill that is useful in combat or on the map, such as offense, armorer, logistics, pathfinding, and such. This design decision might seem like a bad idea in a way, because might class heroes are unable to learn high-level spells like Resurrection, but in my opinion the author took care of it with excellence. There are many spellbooks and spell scrolls on the map. Any might hero can cast practically any spells in or out of combat thanks to them, making all spells theoretically available to might heroes. I think it's analogous to a high schooler at an exam that can bring 5 items to it. In heroes terms, these are 5 pocket artifacts. So high schoolers can bring a cheat sheet, or maybe several of these, but then they would be able to bring fewer of other items. What are other items a high schooler might want? For example, a lucky charm or a voodoo doll. That would be an indispensable item for an exam, I reckon. Okay, you get the idea now. Fighter heroes will have to come to an exam or a fight without a voodoo doll perhaps, and also you'll have to find the books or scrolls you need. It brings us to the next topic. Many overpowered spells are disabled and only available later on when you achieve certain spell power levels. These spells include, but not limited to, Slow, Blind, Berserk and Resurrection. It results in more interesting fights in the early and mid-game, but also sets a challenge for you to take 0 to little losses without these spells. That said, because these spells are disabled, they are no longer granted by spellbooks, and you'd have to find and equip, for example, a Scroll of Resurrection to your heroes who don't have wisdom to learn it on their own. One other unique, excellent decision made by the map author is that all heroes have the Town Portal spell from the beginning. We are used to having the spell only available from mid to very late in the game, and this map shows a great example of why this practice should go. Town Portal is not just a convenience spell, it's an irreplaceable part of any long-term logistical plan, especially on a map of this size. Having access to larger areas to move around introduces more decisions to make, which is always a good change. Let's summarize the good parts about the map. First, it has an engaging story and setting. In-game text serve narrative and also importantly contain gameplay hints. Make sure you read them all on your first playthrough. Second, the map is thoughtfully balanced, which is a very difficult thing to do given the Heroes 3 complexity. Most of us know how many there are ways to abuse the game AI to achieve seemingly unachievable. In terms of multiplayer, the most overpowered heroes are brought down to be more in line with the rest, to fit the multiplayer better. 3. Delayed access to combat breaking spells enriches combat experience in the early to mid game. 4. Town Portal being available to many heroes enables a very high efficiency in heroes movement. Dimension Door and Flyer later on bring this level even higher to unseen levels of efficiency. A vast number of heroes and towns in addition to that practically removes the ceiling in terms of the speed potential. 5. The map has a challenging early game, even advanced players will find it interesting to play with the tempo. Let's get to bad or questionable points of the map, the reasons why you might not like it. First, the map has a complex navigation. It uses a prominent portal-heavy design. Zones are interconnected in multiple ways using one-way portals. On one hand, it opens almost limitless possibilities in terms of movement. On another, it's very easy to get lost. You benefit a lot from knowing the map, or at least using the editor to find points of interest. At some point, you're told to find the white tent, for example, and it's only accessed via 3 one-way portals on the entire map, which are not easy to randomly stumble into. For a not particularly attentive player, they may look like all other portals. That said, the author actually gives you hints as to where you need to look for these portals. Make sure to read and absorb the in-game texts. Perhaps it even warrants taking notes if you hope to finish the map on your first try without checking the editor. Author also stated that his intent was that the first playthrough attempt would be a casual and purely introductory, and that players would only get the understanding of the map from the first try and likely lose it to later use the obtained knowledge in their second playthrough to actually beat the map. Number 2 is, speaking of one-way portals, it's worth talking about them in the context of recent change of how portals work in HotA. The change is that portals are no longer random after the first cycle through them, and you won't be able to send multiple heroes to the same portal anymore with save and load as easily as before. That said, while it's a change to get used to, it's not as annoying as I was initially afraid it would be. Even if you really want to send multiple heroes to the same portal, you don't have to do that, by the way, but if you really want to, you have a large number of heroes to work with, and you can simply cycle the portal by sending multiple heroes into it to get to the right exit again. If you don't know what change I'm referring to, I'll post a link to that in the description. Number 3, you don't get to play with overpowered heroes. Because of the multiplayer focus, there are no overpowered heroes, and you likely won't be able to play out a power fantasy running around with Tazar killing everything on sight with a couple of archangels. But think of what this map offers in terms of heroes variety in exchange for that. I think it's way better. Number 4. The map has a time limit. It fits the story well, and considering poor game AI ability to navigate giant maps, it's actually a reasonable decision. It requires decent tempo, but should be achievable by most players in a focused, goal-oriented playthrough. Still, it may frustrate slower-paced players. If you are concerned about it, you may want to remove the time limit in the editor, but make sure that you do that before you start the map. In terms of recommendation, I strongly recommend this map, but with some caveats. This map suits best the players who enjoy or want to improve some of these points or skills. First is management of multiple heroes, chaining army, efficiency optimization. And second, raw combat focus without game-breaking spells. It requires certain skill in tactical combat to do that with 0 to little losses. Even if it doesn't sound like your usual playstyle, I still recommend giving it a try. The limited spells and tough early game are excellent for sharpening your combat skills. There is only one group of players I wouldn't recommend this map to, and that would be people looking for a map to play casually and beat it handily on the first try. That'll be a tough trick to pull unless you are a very capable player. Play this map only if you are willing to invest significant time into it, and don't be afraid to fail. And of course this map is excellent for speedrunning. If you are looking for a map to speedrun, that's an amazing candidate. I hope you will enjoy this map a lot like I did, if you decide to give it a try. If you need help, please refer to one of my playthroughs or ask in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on the map. If you agree or disagree with me, of course this review is just my opinion. Take care, I hope to see you in another one.